Hi everyone! For today's lesson, I want to walk you through the step-by-step way of writing a report of static pie graphs. A separate lesson will discuss the dynamic pie charts. This lesson is divided into 4 parts. First, what is a static pie graph? Writing an introduction, writing an overview, and writing body paragraphs of static pie graphs. Before moving on, let's review the IELTS Writing Task 1 band descriptors, especially the 4 areas to consider in writing a report: task achievement, coherence and cohesion, lexical resource, and grammatical range and accuracy. We will only focus on band 9 down to 6. In this lesson, however, we will compare a band 6 answer into a band 9 for you to know how to approach IELTS Academic Writing Task 1 and ace in your writing performance. Band 9 Standard Structure for IELTS Writing Task 1. The report is composed of 4 paragraphs. An introduction, where you have to paraphrase the question statement. Write an overview, means write a general overview of the main features. Body paragraph 1, where you write in detail about feature 1 in a logical way. And body paragraph 2, where you write in detail about feature 2 in a logical way. What is a static pie graph? This is a graph with no time referred to, has a fixed time, and the main features are the largest and the smallest, and similarities. For pie graph, well, it is called a pie because it simply shapes like a pie and is divided into slices. Additionally, in the official test, it is never given in isolation. It is 2 or more charts. For this example, you notice that the 2 graphs are describing different information and there is no time given. So these are examples of static pie charts. What to write in the introduction? You just have to paraphrase the given question statement of the graph. Paraphrase means you have to put the text in your own words. Avoid copying the text. Rearrange similar texts and ask yourself if you include all the important points. You can make use of synonyms, change the word form, or the sentence structure of the sentence. You can watch our video on the structure for graphs if you want to learn those in detail. A link is provided below this video. Remember that you can have a band 9 introduction if you can successfully paraphrase the question statement. Let's study this introduction. The charts compare information about world spending on 4 items and world population. The writer almost copied exactly the given heading of the graph, and only changes the word give information to compare. This is a band 6 introduction, as it was not successfully paraphrased. The pie charts compare the shares of 4 major items in global expenditure, as well as how global population is distributed. The band 9 introduction specifically mentioned what kind of chart is given: the shares of 4 major items in global expenditure instead of world spending on 4 items. Additionally, instead of just simply mentioning world population, as well as how global population is distributed, is better as it also mentions the distribution. Now, looking at these 2 examples, you will notice the difference in length and language used. Also, the second successfully paraphrased the given heading. Before writing an overview, let us go over the graphs first. In the first pie chart, it describes the world spending on food, clothing, housing, transport, and others. In the second pie chart, it describes about the world's population in 4 continents: Asia, Africa, America, and Europe. Now let us go over our main features. Let us check the first chart. You will notice that the highest spending is on food, and the least is spent on housing. In the next chart, the biggest chunk is Asia. So let's check these 2 overviews. Overall, the largest proportion of spending in the world is food, while other categories like transport, housing, and clothing are less. First off, let us check the first sentence. This part of the overview added the first key feature, but used the word spending, which is also given in the chart. There was also a mistake in the use of the word last to compare the first feature. Overall, the largest proportion of outlay in the world is allocated to food, while transport, housing, and clothing are other significant items. Now, in the Band 9 first sentence, you will notice that the first feature was addressed well, because it was clearly described. Variety in vocabulary is evident. Instead of spending, outlay was used. Allocated instead of simply saying food. Then compared to least using the word while. Then instead of other categories, these are specified to transport, housing, and clothing. Moreover, Asians is responsible for the highest group of world's population. Also, in Band 6 second sentence, it also tried to describe the second main feature, but made mistakes in the use of Asians and highest. Moreover, Asia is responsible for the largest group of world's population. So in Band 9 second sentence, we changed the word Asians to Asia and highest to largest. Now, our overview is a Band 9 because it clearly describes the two main features in the pie charts. Now, in static pie charts, we don't use language of change. It is usually used in dynamic charts, which is in our separate video. Just check the link below. Since pie charts are divided into percentages, it is a good idea to convert them to fractions because it adds variety to your writing and exhibits your knowledge of the language. There are some ways. Change percentages to fractions, percentages and its qualifiers, and percentages to proportion, number, amount, majority, or minority. Also, we can make use of different nouns and verbs to use in your body paragraphs. You can pause the video to copy the given expressions and try to maximize it in writing your report on pie charts. Let us check some examples using our graphs. Accounting for almost a quarter, 1 in tenths, makes up for a very small number. Moving on, what to write in the body paragraph of two static pie charts. Let us check the main features. In a static pie, it is the highest and the lowest. In our pie charts, the highest in world spending is food, while in world population is Asia. The lowest in world spending is clothing, while in world population is Africa. Now, let us group our main features into two. One will be for world spending, and the other will be world population. Now, let us add that in our plan. The tense will be present simple tense, as there are no given year. Then the language that we will be using will focus on comparison and contrast and proportion. And we will not use language of change. Body 1 will discuss world spending, highest compared to lowest, and world spending second highest and another variable. In Body 2, the paragraph will describe world population, highest compared to lowest, and world population second highest and other variables. Going further, let's check Band 6 and Band 9 first body paragraphs. The amount of food consumption has the biggest share, accounting for almost 25% of the total world spending. Looking at the first sentence of a Band 6, the word consumption was misspelled, it lacks P. This is seen under lexical resource for a Band 6 response. The words almost 25% and world spending can actually be expressed in a better way. This is under lexical resource, the use of adequate vocabulary only. As can be seen, the amount of food consumption has the biggest share, accounting for almost a quarter of the total global expenditure. For the Band 9 first sentence, the phrase as can be seen is a good signposting for cohesion purposes. Almost a quarter and global expenditure are a good way to show your wide range of vocabulary instead of copying exactly the words used in the charts. Now, let us check the second Band 6 sentence. However, the second highest is spent on transportation, almost 20%, while housing is 12%. For the second sentence of Band 6, however was not properly used, as it does not compare the second sentence to the first one. Under coherence and cohesion, cohesive devices should be used effectively. Additionally, the word spent on was not paraphrased. The use of complex sentence, though, was utilized. The second highest is paid for transportation, almost 20%, while housing also makes up for a considerable proportion, 12%. For the Band 9 second sentence, paid for and also makes up for a considerable proportion were used, to show the use of wide vocabulary naturally and sophisticatedly. Complex sentence structure was also used. The least is spent on clothing, and the remaining 40% is spent on other items. In the last sentence of the Band 6 report, the percentage of clothing was not added. This does not support the task achievement of the response, as it should add details to the main features. Also, the word spend was not used correctly. The least among the four is expended on clothing, merely 6%, and the remaining 40% is expended on other items. Lastly, for the last sentence of the Band 9 sample, among the four items, and merely 6% shows the task was fully developed by adding the details from the chart. The word expend was also used as an alternative to the word spent. The second chart shows that there is a big difference between the population of Asia and that of other continents because Asia constitutes 57% of the world's population. Moving on to the second paragraph, the first sentence used the word show. It should be with S, as the subject is singular. Here, we should be careful with our grammatical mistakes. The word big can also be reworded, and the use of and is not proper. The word and is not used to compare. It is to add information. Also, the phrase that starts with because Asia do not have to be repeated. The second chart shows that there is a significant difference between the population of Asia and that of other continents, since approximately 3 out of every 5 human beings live in Asia. For the Band 9 first sentence, the use of significant is better than the word big. The use of between to compare two figures was properly utilized, so lexical resource is good. Lastly, approximately 3 out of every 5 human beings to present the figure sounds more sophisticated than simply stating the figures, which is good for the task achievement. The continents Europe and the Americas have the same proportions, which accounts for 14% of the world's population, and Africa has the least, 10% of the world's population. In the Band 6 second sentence for the second body, the use of continents is not necessary. It will just make your essay wordy. The same proportion can be presented in a different way. Accounts for 14% is incorrect, because each was not used. Again, here we have to present the details. The least plus figure can be written in 1/10, and the word and to compare is not just appropriate. It makes our lexical resource just adequate. Europe and the Americas share similar proportions and together are host to roughly 1/3 of the world's population, whereas Africa form a mere 1/10 of the world's populace. For the Band 9 second sentence, similar proportion sounds better than simply saying same proportion. Together host to roughly 1/3 of the world's population is a good way to present data. Mere 1/10 to describe the figure and the use of whereas to compare was properly used. This will make our task achievement and lexical resource score high by adding enough information and using wide range of vocabulary. Now, this is our Band 9 essay for the given charts. You can pause the video and take time to read our example for you to have an idea of what is a Band 9 report. The pie charts compare the share of 4 major items in global expenditure, as well as how global population is distributed. Overall, the largest proportion of outlay in the world is allocated to food, while transport, housing, and clothing are other significant items. Moreover, Asia is responsible for the largest group of the world's population. As can be seen, the amount of food consumption has the biggest share, accounting for almost a quarter of the total global expenditure. The second highest is paid for transportation, almost 20%, while housing also makes up for a considerable proportion, 12%. The least among the four is expended on clothing, merely 6%, and remaining 40% is expended on other items. The second chart shows that there is a significant difference between the population of Asia and that of other continents, since approximately 3 out of every 5 human beings live in Asia. Europe and the Americas share similar proportions and together are host to roughly 1/3 of the world's population, while Africa form a mere 1/10 of the world's populace. This response fully satisfies the requirements of the task. All key features of the chart are appropriately and accurately presented. Comparison was made used properly and sufficiently. Figures were given to support the given features. The message is very easy to read with seamless cohesion that attracts no attention. Paragraphing, linking, and referencing are all skillfully managed. The language used is very fluent and sophisticated. A wide range of vocabulary is used. Sentence structures are used with full flexibility and accuracy. Complex sentence structures are evident. I hope this has enlightened you on how to write a Band 9 report for static pie charts in IELTS Academic Writing Task 1. Now this brings us to the end of our lesson. Please subscribe to our channel to be updated to all our upcoming video lessons. If you find it useful, please press like, and if you have questions, please put it under the video. Thank you.